We are at the thresholds of the 21st century, where computers, simulations, and artificial intelligence will play a crucial role in our lives. As we step into the new century, we are entering a novel universe, an innovative environment with different rules and coordinates, one to be known as Cyberworld. Virtual world and entertainment arcades, home computer games, movies and television are leading the plots of multimedia networks and shaping tomorrow's creative engines. In order to better appreciate the sphere we will be living in, we must understand what cyberspace means. Cyberworld is not a passive environment that we are going to visit. That could be achieved with our imagination through movies and television. Cyberworld is a place we can work in, where we can participate, and where we'll be able to live in. One in which we can submerge our senses, and by doing so, interact with such reality. Virtual reality. It sounds fascinating. It sounds magical. But what is it really? Virtual means being in essence, not actual, not in fact, but equivalent. Reality is the state of being real or existing. So the world of virtual reality is a world that is created. It is not actual, but it's close to the real one. Trying a definition, we can say that VR means a three-dimensional environment in which a person interacts with an alternate computer-generated world. We have the real world and the computer-generated world. How do we know that the world outside of our minds really does exist? We use our senses of sight, sound, hearing, touch, and smell to discover the outside world. Isn't all reality virtual? We have reality as such, what it is as we determine it, how we recognize it as we affect it, as it has been transformed. We recognize the world outside ourselves through our senses. If we touch an object, or we taste food, or we look at a model, we are not really looking at her with our mind, but with an extended sensory organ that our brain interprets. The same can be said of all of our senses. So to obtain true virtual reality, we must fool our senses and convince them that we are totally immersed in a virtual world. We must accept that the environment that we are in is interactive because we can influence things and be affected by them. When people immerse themselves in an environment with sensory interfaces that allow them to see, feel, hear, taste, interact with a synthetic environment, the computer orients this cyberspace according to the user's position and movements. The movement data is picked up from sensory tools like head-mounting devices and data gloves. The word cyberspace was first used by novelist William Gibson for his novel Neuromancer, where people could jack into the virtual world using a neural input connected to the brain. We won't be jacking into cyberspace using a neural input for some time to come. The concept was first thought of as a device that would create more sophisticated video arcade games. However, cyberspace has become very important in the world of science, business, medicine, and entertainment. The one industry which is greatly impacted by cyberspace has been the entertainment industry. Cyberspace has become a monumental part in the production of movies. The special effects that virtual reality offers have played a part in the making of movies and television series. Cyberspace arcade parlors are opening up across the country. Along with the usual rides, amusement parks are now offering virtual reality simulated rides.
Not much I can hear. Just wait, just wait. I'm ready for anything. Better be that record of yours.
Lane cut violation, nudge warning. Player pad, stop engine.
Cyberspace arcade systems allow players to enter realistic simulations which can vary from manning submarines, flying military jet fighter aircrafts, using futuristic mechanical war robots, and flying hovercrafts over Mars. Competitive cyberspace games now allow for more interaction amongst the players. The Straylight Corporation has created the Cybertron VR arcade system. The Wingnut simulation allows up to 4 players to enter the same cyberspace. Each player is strapped into a gyroscopic motion platform. A player appears in the cyberspace as a human head that has sprouted wings. Points are earned by either cooperative or competitive play. Walt Disney World's Pleasure Island was the first to have the system installed, but the systems are now appearing in conventional arcades and amusement parks. Cyberworld has entered the hospital. For anatomy lessons, a 3D model of the human body is created in cyberspace. The medical students can tour the body and learn the perspective and internal arrangements of the organs. This cyber tool provides the capability for students to discover the interrelationship of the organs, which is not even possible with the dissection of a human cadaver. Other applications allow medical students to learn and practice medical procedures. A demonstration mode allows students to view how certain surgical procedures are performed. Later, the same surgical procedure can be practiced by the student using virtual surgical instruments. Another surgical project is a laparoscopic simulator. The simulator accurately mimics the way laparoscopic procedures are performed. As the technology advances, the fidelity of the realism will greatly improve. The organs will become more lifelike and behave physically in the same manner as real organs, such as deforming against the pull of gravity and bleeding when cut. Tactile simulations and force-reflecting systems need to be incorporated into the surgical training to provide the necessary feel of surgery. By wearing an HMD, the surgeon can view three-dimensional medical images like CAT, MRI, and X-Rays overlaid on the patient. These superimposed images will help guide the surgeon's hand during an operation. Not many people associate cyberspace and the stock market. However, this marriage of technologies has given an unprecedented ability to analyze stocks from business data. Traditionally, these have been displayed with a series of two-dimensional numbers. It is proven that the human brain can interpret more data when it is presented in a multi-dimensional graphic format. For Wall Street brokers, information overload is a common problem. The flow of real-time data is fed into cyberspace database, which converts the business information into multi-dimensional presentations into a multi-user environment. Cyber technology also plays a part in the military. Flight simulation was the first application of a cyberspace environment. This technology originated for training commercial and military aircraft pilots without risking the safety of the aircraft or the pilot. Currently, the U.S. has the most advanced cyberspace simulation in the world. Military simulations are used for the training of personnel and war games. Personnel training encompasses flight simulation, tank operation, and advanced weaponry. participants in training wear VR goggles and gloves. The gloves have tactile simulators that allow users to feel the buttons. Information is fed to the trainees in the same fashion as it would be experienced in a real emergency. Sensory overload is a common problem in an emergency, and it can be realistically mimicked in VR. NASA is investing considerable time, money, and effort to the development of cyberspace systems. Recently, they have created a virtual environment specifically for repairing the Hubble Space Telescope. The cyberspace environment has been used for astronaut training and repair mission rehearsals. To accomplish this task, NASA needed to create a complete model of the Hubble telescope, including parts that needed replacement and servicing. The payload bay of the space shuttle, along with the technology used in transporting equipment, was also modeled. Telepresence also helped achieve the model's success. Telepresence is a high-fidelity form of robotic remote control, considered a lot more than just remote control, because the senses of the operator are projected into the robotic device. Computer networking allows us to synchronize the communications of several systems projecting displays seamlessly. When you enter the Cyberworld environment, you quickly become aware that you can fly through the ceiling and walk through walls. You can manipulate objects and experiment with the sense of touch, not only by touching, but by feeling pressure, pain, temperature, and weight. Speech control is an ideal method of command input. Virtual reality is facilitating the task of freeing the operator's hands, adding to the illusion of immersion. Electronic games offer sports fans attractive features, from fully digitized golfers to professional baseball fields enhanced with video clips, historical replays, quizzes, and detailed tutorials. What makes VR unique, however, is the interactive element. The user has the ability to deliberately manipulate the natural environment. He or she can move through a virtual world, interacting with objects, and the screen image responds accordingly. How real the virtual reality seems depends on the degree to which the user's sensors are immersed in the virtual world. The degree of sensory immersion is determined by the caliber and complexity of the system itself. The more sophisticated the machine, the more real the experience will be. VR is the favorite play toy of the avant-garde artist. Musicians, dancers, and performers are combining their arts with cyber images. All business people will consider it a must to lecture with some sort of projected image to enhance their meeting. The line dividing entertainment and education is thin. Many arcade video games can have an educational value because of their storyline. The military and scientific communities have found important applications for immersive VR in high-tech arenas such as aerospace and bioengineering industries. Just imagine the unsurpassed potential in education. An astronomy class in the middle of the universe, a trip to the depths of the ocean, or a visit to a foreign country to meet the people, listen to their music, and speak their language. The possibilities are unlimited. We all experience some sort of encounter in cyberspace daily. We take cash out of automated tellers, and a simple phone call can lead us to the multitude of technology known as the information superhighway. We have all heard of the Internet and the World Wide Web, and currently these refer to the use of personal computers and modems to access information to distribute messages by other networks. Emerging technologies continue to expand the services available worldwide, making communications easier, allowing the transfer of files and graphics faster, and sending electronic mail almost instantly to anyone connected to the net. As a prediction, the future will bring miniature computer and television displays that can be placed on the eye as a contact lens, but this is not all. Direct input into the visual cortex of the brain is now a possibility, not by means of science fiction, but to restore sight for the blind. People might have artificial retinas grafted on top of their natural retinas, not to cure blindness, but to enhance their vision into ultraviolet and infrared bands. The creative odyssey merely started. We are only seeing the tip of the virtual world's possibilities. The incredible concept of the cyberworld is turning from a promise to a reality, one where imagination will face no limits.